Alright, so here we're going to have a quick review of the SoundRhyme SR8. This is a 14 BA set of IEMs. Yes, I said that correctly. 14 BAs. Unlike what the name would suggest with SR8, it has 14 BAs in it. This set retails for around $750, and let's get into this. I did buy these used, so the box is kind of damaged here. You'll see that in a second. See here? The glue is kind of detached, but yeah, normally it would be like this. Anyway, so inside the box we'll find this metal puck here. We'll get into that in a second. And a carry case. Let's move the box off to the side. Alright, so in the carry case you have a cable. You're gonna have the tips, and you're gonna have the terminations. This is a modular cable. At $750, I sure hope it comes with that. Alright, and here I have the metal carry. It's not like a carry case. I was like cat hair. It's not a carry case. It is more like a kind of like a display case, I guess. I don't really know why it includes this. I really hate the sound it makes when you open it, but it's just really just foam in here with the IM just stuck in there. So I don't really know what this is for, except just I guess to be cool. I don't know, just a cool like unboxing experience. I don't dislike it. It's just a little bit weird. I've never experienced that with another IM before, but yeah, it's there. All right, so let's first talk about the accessories here. Flash on, yeah. All right, so first let's talk about the cable. Cable is very nice. I really like this cable. It is very fluid. Please ignore that car in the background. It is very smooth, fluid, supple, and it looks great to me. Connectors stay in. It's not very loose. What I don't like is the interconnect system that they have. Yeah, what I do like though is how small the connection is. It looks almost as if there is no interconnect system. That's how small the connector is. But the problem is when you unplug it, right? There's not a very good indicator on how to plug it back in. So you see like there's a small little notch there. This notch is very hard to notice with just your eyes. I have this very close to the camera so you can see it. And then you can see there's a small notch on here. So you would match these notches up, to get these pins in. But it is very hard to do. Like at least, it's not very convenient to do. But if you don't swap connectors very often, you just put the connector you prefer, which in this IEM I use the single-ended, and you just leave that in. It's there. It comes with the 3.5, the 4.4, and for the 3 people still using it, the 2.5 connector. Alright, let's get that off to the side. Let's talk about tips. So it does come with these standard pen-on tips. They come with 3 sets of these. I don't know where I put the small ones. It does come with these standard like kind of pen-on ISN, SoundRhyme tips. These like green cores. I did try these. I wasn't too much of a fan of the sound. It was alright. So we're not going to be talking about how it sounds with these and the foams. I really wish it came with a bigger variety of tips, because with these IEMs, the sound changed quite a lot with different tips. I tried the W01s and got an interesting sound. I tried the, what are these called again? Spiral dots, got an interesting sound. And then, of course, I tried this tips that I tried with all of my IEMs, CP100 spin fits, extra small. These are the ones I use for almost everything, and I use them on this, and this is what I'm going to be mainly doing my review on with these tips. So we don't need to talk about these anymore. I do think it would have been great benefit for SoundRhyme to include different tips, because you will get a very different sound with each tips. Now let's talk about the IEMs themselves, the build, comfort, looks. So this is a custom color, as you probably have noticed, because it is not the same as the one you see on the front of the box. And I'm sure you guys are looking at this right now on camera and think, man, that looks tacky, or it looks weird, because that's what I thought when I saw it, because I did buy these used. And I was like, I don't really like the way these look when I saw the pictures, but I was like, I still want the IEM, so I bought it. And when it arrived, I was really pleasantly surprised, similar to the DTE 500, where it had the gold and the silver flakes, and I thought it looked tacky in pictures, but in person it looked better. This looks a lot better in person. It actually looks pretty good in person. It kind of looks like a sapphire look to it without looking tacky. I don't know why it looks so much different from in pictures and on camera and in person, but it is. And you can see the 14 BAs in this clear resin shell really clearly, and it is really impressive how they packed these 14 of them into here. It does come with two tuning switches. We'll talk about that in a second. And yeah, it's just really impressive that into like a relatively small design, they were able to fit 14 BAs in here. That is really crazy to me. But despite that, despite its size being relatively small, it is still pretty big for a human ear, at least for my smaller ears. And I think that most people with small ears will have slight discomfort issues. And it is also not really well contoured, in my opinion, to like the human ear. I personally have a little bit of discomfort after around 30 minutes to an hour of listening, but it's not a huge deal. It's not a deal breaker because I don't find these to be like immensely uncomfortable. It's making me want to rip my ears off. No, it's nothing like that. It's just not exactly as ergonomic as a lot of the other more comfortable IEMs I've worn are. Now, let's talk about what you care about, the sound. These are an interesting set of IEMs, really unique sound signature in my opinion. Though I do, if I was to compare it to anything, it sounds most close to the Penon 10th edition, where it's really, I know a lot of people don't like to use this word in describing things, but it's really musical, where it's not going for accuracy. You can tell. This is not neutral, it's not accurate. This is giving you a very colored, flavored sound, and with this, it's a very rich sound, very in the tuning that I prefer, which is both of the switches on. Very bass heavy with but very forward, full mid-range. A very energetic yet not sibilant, not bright sound. It's very musical, very enjoyable, especially with pop music. I think that if you have a pop library, or EDM also is fantastic on here, or if you like Japanese music, Chinese music, Korean music, C-pop, K-pop, J-pop, a lot of female vocals as well just really shine on this set. I think that this is the best set I've heard for pop music in general, American pop as well. Overall, pop music is incredible on these because of the note weight, and the vocals on these are just gorgeous. It also manages instruments wonderfully. This can do classical and instrumental songs as well, very, very, very well. It has a very natural sound with a very thick yet not bloated note weight. The vocals have a big presence, sounding very full. When I switch to other head IEMs like the SA6 Mk2, which we'll be comparing in a second, and the Mega5P, both of which are great IEMs, they start to sound a little bit thin after listening to these. Very, very rich sound come from this set of IEMs. Let me move these a little bit more, separated. Very enjoyable, very rich. But the downside of this, especially with this set, is it doesn't have much air. The instruments and the vocals don't have much space to breathe. It's a very narrow stage. Imaging is good. Imaging is actually really fantastic with these within its small stage. It has everything pretty well separated, except for one problem with that. The imaging, the separation between male vocals and the mid bass. I think that it does have some bass bleed into the lower mids. It's very slight, but it's very present to me when I try listening to rap music. When listening to rap, the beat in the background with the male rapper tends to kind of melt a little bit, just like a little bit of blending. It's not horrible, but I'd say that if rap is your main genre of choice, I would not recommend this set, especially at $750. I think you would get a better enjoyment out of the SA6 Mk2. The reason I especially want to the most compared to SA6 Mk2 is I think that these are both a very similar sound where it's more musical than accurate. And we're going to be talking about comparisons like that in a second. But first I want to talk about the differences between the tuning switches. Okay. Overall, what I mentioned with the note weight and all that is present in all the switches, because this is more timbre. Now, talking signature, I'm trying to get a good look on these. Okay, so with the treble switch on, it needs to always be on to me. It can't be off. The treble switch feels more like a treble and upper mid range switch, and it's what brings the female vocals, actually vocals in general, really. It does male vocals also well, despite the bleed. It does it in a very rich musical way. And also the lower female vocal, like the more deep female vocals, and the like a little bit higher pitch male vocals, very beautifully. It gives it that richness, that heavy note weight, that magic that this has. This has to be one of the best, if not the best, vocal quality and vocal, like vocal quality I've heard on an IEM. Honestly, it does get this IEM overall. The sound does get handicapped by its lack of stage. I was able to get back some of that stage with the Smithfit W01s, but it does lose some of that note weight and richness that makes the mid-range so special on these. So with the treble switch off, I did not enjoy these nearly as much. It's still a competent IEM, but it's not a $750 IEM. It's not as high quality of a sound. Now, so I usually tend to leave that on. With the bass switch, however, it's debatable on whether you'd want it on or off and on. I prefer it on, but I would say that I would have preferred if the bass was in between both of the options. I tried with both of the switches down, by the way. I didn't enjoy the sound. It sounded very flat, very boring. But the bass switch either goes a little bit too much bass when it's on and a little bit too little bass when it's off. And I prefer having it a little bit too much bass and a little bit too little. It's a little bit more bass than the S6 Mark II with the switch on, if you want reference. The bass, though, for a BA bass, it really made me believe in BAs again. For bass, it made me believe that BAs can do it. The bass on this is absolutely fantastic. I'm gonna go bass, mids, highs now because I think you have a general sense of what I mean with all the switches. With the bass switch down, it is a competent sounding bass, but it is a bit understated. Definitely doesn't become a focus or really much. It's complementary to the track, but not present enough for me. I prefer it with the bass switch on. Now, so the rest of the review with the comparisons will be with both switches on the on position. Now, bass. Let's start with bass. Bass is fantastic. It's punchy. It's rich. Has great texture. Fantastic texture. Better texture than the S6 Mark II. The slam is also better than the S6 Mark II, and the initial hit is close, maybe the same as the Mega5EST with the dynamic driver that this has. This dynamic driver bass is not as good to me as the BA bass coming from the SR8. I am absolutely stunned by the quality of the bass you can get with the SR8. You could not really tell the difference between this and a good dynamic driver bass, in my opinion. At least I can't. I can't tell the difference whatsoever. I would not be able to tell at all that this is a BA doing the bass. It has speed, but it has texture, punch, has good decay. It is a fantastic bass. Just a little bit too much at times, and it does bleed into the mid-range a little bit. That's the problem with the bass. But in terms of quality, the bass has a fantastic timbre and just overall detail in texture. I love the bass on the SR8. Now mid-range, this is where the IEMs are at its best. The mid-range is probably the best mid-range I've heard on an IEM. One of the best. Ignoring the soundstage issues that these have, the mid-range is forward but not too forward. Very expressive and very thick, heavy note weight in the mid-range, but not too heavy where it becomes bloat. It is full. It is energetic. It has great extension in the vocals, but not becoming shouty. It is a fantastic mid-range. If I were to recommend anyone what is the best vocals out of the things I've heard from IEM, it is what the SR8 is producing. This vocal quality is the best I have heard on an IEM. It is stunning. It is stunning vocals, both female and male, but especially the female vocals. Especially in C-pop, J-pop, K-pop, it really just outperforms almost every IEM I've heard in terms of vocal quality. Fantastic vocals, and overall, I'm also really impressed that all the BAs crossed over so smoothly. I won't say that it is as coherently smooth as a dynamic, but it gets a single dynamic, but it gets very close. It is like an SA6 Mark II in terms of that all of the BAs working together in a way that sounds very smooth, almost like one driver, but not quite. Now, in terms of treble, this is where it is underwhelming, but still fantastic, and that is surprising to me due to how great the DTE 500's treble was, though that was an EST driver treble. The treble on here is great, but it's nothing of extremely noteworthy and extremely impressive. It has good extension and gets sibilant very rarely, but it's not, the most well controlled, not the most shocking impressive. It's there, it's detailed. It is, I'd say it's worthy of its $500 price tag. $750 price tag, sorry. $750 price tag, but it's not blowing away its competition. It's not incredible. I'd still take, actually, I think I would take the treble of the EST, the Mega5EST over the treble on here, but the treble is a little bit brighter on the Mega5EST. Overall, in all three of the sections of the frequency range, it is incredible. It really is. Just with that slight problem of the bass bleed, other than that, absolutely stunning. Soundstage wise, it is smaller than both of these. It is pretty much the same stage I was getting with the Pen on 10th edition. If you watch that review, you'll know what I mean. It is in your head, maybe slightly out of your head, but it's really small, which is really disappointing. It does have an impact on the enjoyability, in my opinion. And it does make me say that I don't really recommend these for gaming or movie watching. This to me is an IEM for music. And if you only can get one IEM, I wouldn't say get this as your only IEM. Unless you plan on only listening to music with IEMs. This is something for someone who already has another IEM as their main or a collection or something like that. I think that's where this best fits. I don't think this is your only IEM. It's too colored and it's too specified. It's not as much of an all-rounder as a lot of other IEMs in this price range can be. And overall, though, it is a very nice flavor to have in a collection or in just having having two IEMs, one being like this and one being more neutral and objective sounding. But overall, it is an extremely enjoyable experience. Now I'm going to quickly do comparisons because I think I've already rambled enough and hyped these enough. I really do love them. I am not going to compare these too much with these. I'm just going to say that the Mega5EST is a brighter set by a lot, better stage, similar imaging, it says similar imaging, practically the same. The treble is more impressive on the Mega5EST, but it's a little bit more fatiguing. The mid-range, I would say, is a lot better on these. The vocals especially is just much thicker, more full, I enjoy them more on this. Bass also a lot better on this, better texture, better punch. Overall, this is, in terms of bass and mids, this is better. Treble-wise, if you can handle a little bit of a brighter treble, this wins it out. But also in terms of stage, this is better. Of an all-rounder to also watch movies, games, also choosing this. But in terms of just musical enjoyment for me, I would choose this one. Now, I'm going to put these aside because I want to compare really with this. Because I do feel some of this is like, some of what this is trying to do is in the SA6 Mark II. There's so many names, so many numbers. I'm starting to get confused. Now, also it kind of makes sense being all BAs, but I don't really think that that's why. It's just the way these are tuned. This is warm. I wouldn't necessarily call these very warm, but I would say that they are they're more rich, less air. But I wouldn't call them warm. They're more energetic than these. They have a slight warmth. I will say a slight warmth, especially in the vocals and the bass. But treble wise, these are more energetic than the SA6 Mark II. I will say the SA6 Mark II has much more, much wider stage, more air. than these, even though the treble is more energetic on these and a little bit more fatiguing on these. This still has a great treble, but this has more detail in that treble. These are less fatiguing than these, but these also are, these have better detail. This is better detail in the treble. I think the treble is more controlled on the SA6 Mark II, and it's not going for a very extended treble. This is not trying to be the most treble detail set. This is a more relaxing set. I can listen to this for much longer. It's also much more comfortable physically with the shape than these. But these are more energetic, fun sound, more engaging. Overall, if I were to choose between these two, I really wouldn't be able to. I think that they're both an excellent sounding set. This is a better value. I will say the SA6 Mark II, it is better value. I mean, it is, I think, 480 or something like that. I don't know if I'm remembering correctly, 480, around $500-ish, while this is $750. But this is a different flavor, and if you have these, it is still worth getting these if you want to. I think that these do have a really unique sound that I've only heard similarly to the Pen on 10th, which I no longer have. I'm going to take these out now and just say with my ending here that these are a fantastic set. Whether they're worth $750, that is quite a high price tag, so I wouldn't be able to say. More like that's up to you. This is a very expensive set that has flaws. 100% these have flaws in their sound, like that bass bleed in the lower mids and that small stage. But if you can get past those flaws, these are a very enjoyable listen for music. And I love them. So I personally find these worth $750. Even though they can't do rap, but they can do every other genre I've thrown at them well. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching. That's about it. See ya.